Hello students, today I am taking the last abiotic factor of ecology, that is soil, which is also called as edaphic factor. If you take the definition of soil, soil can be defined as the uppermost withered layer of the earth's crust, which is made up of minerals and partially decomposed organic matter. Whereas this word soil, it is actually derived from a Greek word called solum. If you wanted to study about chemical composition or biological details or any other information about soil, you will take a small amount of soil. The small amount of soil taken to study about its chemical composition or any other details, that small fraction of the soil what you have taken for your study is called as pedon. That is the reason why studying about soil, it is also called as pedology. As I already told you, pedon means small fraction of soil by which you will understand the complete details of the given soil. That is called as a pedon, and studying about soil, it is called as pedology. And this pedology is otherwise called as edaphology. That is the reason why soil, it is also called as edaphic factor. Now we will take the importance of soil. Soil, it plays a major role in nutrient cycling. Nutrient cycling is also called as biogeochemical cycle. That means exchange of various nutrients from biotic to abiotic and also to abiotic to biotic. This cyclic process of nutrient exchange is called as nutrient cycling or biogeochemical cycles. And students, nutrient cycle, it is a very important topic which we are going to discuss very detailedly in the last chapter of ecology. For now, you just remember the word nutrient cycling, and further details I am going to explain in the last chapter of ecology. And soil, it also play a major role in water maintenance, biotic regulation, medium for plant growth, modifying the atmosphere, and also providing habitat for several soil microbes and also soil organisms. The next topic is soil formation. In the definition itself, if you remember, I clearly told soil is formed by the process of withering. So soil, it is derived from the withering of rocks. Withering means this is a process of breakdown of rocks or large soil particles or minerals by atmosphere or water or maybe by biological organisms. That means big rocks, due to any environmental factors like water, wind, or maybe some biological organisms also sometimes they contribute. So all these factors, they break these large rocks into small fragments. So the process of breakdown of big rocks into small fragments by atmosphere or water or any biological organism, this process it is called as withering. That withering, it is of three types. The first one is chemical withering, second one is biological withering, third one is physical withering. Let us take the first one, chemical withering. Chemical withering means it is caused due to oxidation or hydrolysis or carbonation. If biological withering, if you take, it is caused due to some living organisms. If living organisms, they are responsible for breaking down of large rocks into small fragments, then that is called as biological withering. An example, some lichens and few mosses, these helps in breaking the large rocks into small fragments. And physical withering means if it is caused due to wind, water, gravity, etc., then that is called as physical withering. So these are the three types of withering by which soil is formed. Hope you understand what is withering. Whereas withering results in the conversion of rocks to small fragments. As I already told you, the definition of withering itself is breaking down of large rocks to small fragments. So when these rocks are converted into small fragments, they gets added to humus. Humus means the amount of organic matter that is present in the soil, it is called as humus. Whereas by the withering of the rocks, small fragments are formed. So these fragments will be added into the humus. So this small fragments plus humus, it makes the soil. And soil formation is not that easy. It is a very slow and gradual process. Just to form 1 inch of soil, it takes 500 to 1000 years. Such a very slow process is soil formation. And this soil formation and its development, it is called as pedogenesis. And studying about the soil, it is called as pedology. And pedology is also called as edaphology. Now, types of soil on the basis of mode of their formation, that means how they are formed. Based on that, soil, it is of two types. The first one is residual soil and the next one is transport soil. Now we will take the first one, that is residual soil. Residual soil means withering and pedogenesis. Students, hope you remember, just 2 minutes back only I told withering means the process of formation of soil by the breakage of big rocks into small fragments is called as withering. And pedogenesis means development or accumulation of soil, it is called as pedogenesis. Now withering is taking place at one place, and in the same place pedogenesis, that means the development of the soil is also taking place, then that is called as residual soil. That means where these rocks are breaking, there only the soil it is getting accumulated. That means the process of formation and the process of accumulation is the same, then that is called as residual soil. Whereas the next type is a transport soil. Here in the name itself you can clearly understand what is the meaning of transport soil. Withering takes place at some place, whereas pedogenesis it takes place in other place, then that is called as transported soil. Means breakage of the rocks into small fragments takes place in one place. That small fragments, they will be transported either by wind, or it may be by water, or it may be by earth's gravity, or it may be by ice or any other factor. It somehow bring this broken particles to some other part of the soil, then that is called as a transport soil. That means process of withering is at one place and the addition of this particular small fragments in another place. That's why it is called as a transported soil, because it is moving from one place to another place. That's why it is called as transported soil. And I have taken few examples, and these examples are only for your understanding. These are not much important. Usually you don't get any question from this types of transported soils. I am telling only for your understanding. Only in this particular slide you need to remember the residual soil and transported soil, not their examples. And let us take a few examples. The first example is collovial soil. Means if the soil it is brought by the gravity of the earth, then that is called as collovial. Alluvial soil means if the soil it is brought with the help of water, then that is called as alluvial soil. And alluvial soil is a more fertile soil than any other soils. And the third example is glacial soil. That means it will be coming with the help of ice. Whereas Aeolian soil means it will be brought with the help of wind. So these are a few examples by which you can clearly understand what is transported soil. Again, I am telling you students, these are examples. I kept it here only for your understanding. Let us take the most important point of the soil topic, that is soil profile. If you take the soil profile, so this is the a piece of land I have taken, by which I wanted to know what all the details that are present in the soil, that is present in the given area. If I take this image, you can clearly see this is some topmost layer, and this is a middle layer, like that. It This soil, by seeing this, you can clearly understand it is not even. See the color also, it is somehow, it is green in color, it is some dark brown, and it is pale brown, and it is little more pale. And here when it comes to the bottom, it is made up of small small rocks and big rocks. That means by seeing this only, you will definitely understand soil, it is not composed of some simple soil particles. Its composition is a little different. What is it? Let us see. Soil, it is composed of O zone, A zone, B zone, C zone, and R zone. Let us take all these zones very detailed way. Let us take the first zone, that is ozone. If you take ozone, again this ozone, it is divided into O1 zone and O2 zone. Let us take the first zone, O1 zone. O1 zone means it includes litter. Litter means the undecomposed organic matter. That means, let us take, these are some plants or trees. Let us take, these are not actually trees. While we are seeing they are medium tall, so let us consider these are some shrubs, and these are little small plants. Now some leaves, after they become dry, they are fallen on this surface, they are not decomposed. So this undecomposed leaves or undecomposed stems or any other things, they are present on the soil, that is called as litter, and all the litter comes under O1 zone. Whereas O2 zone means, here litter slowly starts decomposing. By the process of decomposition, the large particles, it will be broken into small inorganic particles, and this process, it is called as a decomposition. Whereas litter means, it is absolutely non-decomposed organic matter, whereas it is partially, that means it is not completely digested, it is half digested organic matter that is present in O2 zone. So O1 zone, it includes litter, that means undecomposed organic matter. O2 zone, it includes duff, means partially or half digested organic matter, and O1 plus O2 together called as O zone. And this is the topmost zone of the soil profile. And the next layer or next zone, it is A zone. Again, A zone is also divided into A1 zone and also A2 zone. Let us take the most important one. Why it is most important one, you will understand now. A1 zone, it is composed of humus. That is the reason why I told A1 zone is very important, because it is composed of humus. What is humus? Fully decomposed organic matter. That means it is the best soil for the growth of the plants and also for seed germination. That is the reason why we are going to plow the soil. If you wanted to raise any crop, for example, if I wanted to raise some rice, some paddy crop, then what I'll do, simply I don't keep my seeds in the soil. First of all, I'll plow the soil. Why I plow the soil? Because here litter and duff, they are not edible forms for the plants. They need to digest. And here the fully digested form of the nutrients are present in the A1. That is the reason why I mentioned, to be frank, I started A1 zone by using, this is a very important zone, because it is made up of humus. Because humus, it is fully decomposed organic matter, that means ready food available to the plants. That is the reason why let us take, I start ploughing. So by ploughing it, I will get this particular zone. So I'll keep my seed here, so seed can be able to readily utilize all the nutrients that are present in this particular A1 zone, so that the germination, it becomes very good. Now it is melanized zone. Why? Because more humus it is present, it attains little dark color. That is the reason why it is also called as a melanized zone. Hope you understand A1 zone. A1 zone is very important. And A2 zone, it is also called as pedocylic or alluvial or zone of leaching. So these are the other names of A2, where here it is a light colored due to organic matter is less. That means out of A1, A2, A1 and A2, out of all these four, A1 is the richest zone in the nutrients which are required to the plants. And the next one is B zone. B zone, it is also called as subsoil or alluvial zone or zone of alluviation or zone of accumulation. In this, it is made up of big soil particles, minerals, and very less amount of humus. To be frank, when it comes to A2 zone itself, the addition of the humus it is reduced, and when it comes to B zone, it is still more reduced. Whereas the the minerals leached from A2 zone, it gets accumulated in B zone. That means it is rich in minerals, whereas it is rich in organic nutrients. So because the minerals are added in this B zone, it is also called as zone of illumination or zone of accumulation. So alluvial zone or accumulation zone, it is due to it is added with the minerals which are leached from A2 zone. Whereas the next zone is C zone. C zone, it is composed of incompletely withered rocks. Whereas R zone, it is composed of unwithered or parent rocks. Sorry students, I forgot to add or here. It is unwithered or parent rocks. I am really sorry for this. Whereas here you can see they are not broken. See R zone here this particular zone it is R zone. Here the rocks are it is not is still broken. But if you take this C zone, you can see these rocks are broken, and if you go little more up, see it started with big, and again it started with medium, and again it started with small, and again if you go up they are becoming tiny. Like this withering it takes place in C zone, whereas completely unwithered rocks are present in R zone. And the most important point here is A zone and B zone together it is called as soil or true soil, whereas this C zone and R zone they won't be considered as soil because withering is not taking place in this, whereas C zone it is taking place but partial, whereas here complete withering is taken place, it is taking place, whereas it did not take place. That's why C and R zones they won't be considered as a true soil, whereas A zone is very important because here humus is present and many minerals are present. It is essential for the growth of plants. If you clearly see, you try to see this image very clearly, just by seeing this image only, complete soil profile you can understand. Now let us take this tree as an example. This tree, now here it started its rooting, it penetrated into A1 zone and it penetrated into A2 zone. Now you can see very clearly in A2 zone it spreaded its roots. That means because the nutrients are more, that's why the penetration of roots can be seen more in A1 zone. See now rarely it is coming to A2 zone. So of course B2 may you can't be able to see the penetration of roots. Very big trees with huge canopy only can be able to penetrate their roots till B zone. Please understand. If any doubts in soil profile you can WhatsApp me. I will again explain it again. Now let us take the composition. By this you will clearly understand what is the composition of soil. Soil it is composed of organic matter and also some mineral matter. The organic matter I already clearly explained it. Organic matter it is dead organic matter present in the soil. I clearly mentioned it is called humus, and humus it is formed by the decomposition of plants or animal remnants, whereas freshly fallen plant and mineral I'm sorry animal matter it is called as detritus or litter. So litter means the freshly fallen plant or animal material, that is called as a detritus or litter, whereas partially decomposed litter is called as a duff, and completely decomposed litter it is called as a humus. So here I have mentioned sequence also. First detritus or litter, now it starts decomposing, and partially decomposed state it is called as duff, and completely decomposed state it is humus. Whereas let us take the next one, that is a soil mineral matter, and minerals are very important sources that are present in the soil. Approximately 45% of the total soil it is composed of only mineral matter. Let us take the sum total, what is the exact total of organic matter and mineral matter here. Composition of soil. Mineral matter, here I clearly mentioned approximately 40 to 45 percentage. Water it is a 25 percentage, air it is of 25 percentage, and organic matter it may be living or it may be non-living. It ranges from 5 to 10 percentage. So this is the composition of soil. Hope you understand. Now let us take types of soil based on the size of soil particles. So based on the size of soil particles, these are the following types of soils. The first one is loamy soil, the next one is silt soil, the next one is sandy soil, and the next one is clay soil. Let us take one after one. The first one is loamy soil. Loamy soil, it is composed of 70% sand and 30% of clay or silt, or it may be both, whereas it is very good in water holding capacity and also good aeration. That's why I clearly mentioned here last sentence I clearly mentioned loamy soil is the best soil for growth of plants, as it is having high water holding capacity, high aeration, and also high ability of root penetration. That's why loamy soil, out of all these soil, which soil is the best soil? I clearly mentioned loamy soil is a best soil. Whereas the best pH for the soil for which support the plant growth is 4.5 to 6.5. So this is a pH where the plants they show their growth very efficiently. The second type of soil it is silt soil, which is composed of 90% of sand and 10% of, I'm really sorry, I made a very big mistake here. 10% of, here I have to add silt, but by mistake I added sand. I am really sorry for this. 90% of sand and 10% of silt. I will definitely change it, and again I'll put this slide in your WhatsApp. Please don't misunderstand me. It is by mistake it has happened. 10% of silt, and here it is correct, 90% of sand. Whereas this silt soil it is characterized by soil particle sized between clay and sand, and it is also having good water holding capacity. And sandy soil, which is made up of 85% of sand and 15% of clay or silt, or maybe both, and very less water holding capacity. That's why you can't be able to see more agriculture in sandy soil. And the next one and last one is clayey soil. Clayey soil it is composed of 40 to 60% of clay and 40 to 60% of silt and little sand, and it is having maximum water holding capacity. So this also do not support, because more water, so there is no aeration. If more water gets accumulated, there won't be any chance for aeration. That's why this also do not support the maximum growth of the plant. Only few agricultural crops can be grown in clay soil, and here also sand, very less agriculture, but the best agriculture can be noticed in loamy soils. And this just particle size, and I added it only for your understanding. Just I wanted to tell you this is the particle size of clay silt, like that. And nothing, no question come out of this particular this table. You don't worry about it, and you have to read only this but not this. Now the next one is, on the basis of soil condition, there are 7 types of plant groups are there. The first one, it is halophytes, means the plants which grow in saline soils. And the next one is samophytes, means the plants which grow in sand. And lithophytes means the plants which grow on rocks. And chasmophytes means the plants which grow on rocks. And chersophytes means the plant which grow in wastelands. And eremophytes means the plants which grow in dry area. And cryophytes means the plant which grow in very less temperatures. These are the 7 types of plants which are growing according to the type of the soil. Hope you understand the soil topic. If you have any doubts, you can WhatsApp me. And some students, they are not in the group, they are thinking that I am posting my videos in some other group. Students, my videos comes in only the botany group, D1 botany, D2 botany, and E botany. In these 3 groups only I am going to post my videos. That too, botany videos will be uploaded only on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, whereas Thursday, Friday and Saturday, Rakesh sir, he will post zoology videos. So please understand this, my videos will be posted only on D1 botany, D2 botany and E botany groups. Thank you so much.